The following video is sponsored by Ado. Ado has a new city commute bike, and it's a smart bike because it's got built-in GPS and a modem, and it's called the A30 Ultra. It has a carbon belt drive, and they've worked in conjunction with Bafang to come up with a rear hub motor that combines 3 speeds, and it's the first e-bike to have an auto 3-speed system with this Bafang motor, and it changes those gears at various different speeds. And as I'll show you in the video later on, it works really well, and I do like this system because one of the shortfalls of the single speed bikes that I've covered before is that on climbs they haven't been very good. Well, that all changes with this bike. Now we've got a battery that's very slim. It's only 50 millimeters of thickness of it. TechTablets brakes, which are 160 millimeter. Comes with a bike rack, and overall it's looking like an excellent bike with a claimed range of up to 100 kilometers. Now we get this rear tail light, which does include indicators. There's a switch up on the handlebars for those indicators. Now during the day, those lights are quite hard to see, but at nighttime it is visible, as you can see from my sample, and that's really when they're only useful. Now the kickstand included does support the bike's weight just fine, no problems with that. And at the rear we've got those 160 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes from TechTablets, and this is our Bafang rear hub motor, 250 watts, and it is their GVT 3S, so 3-speed system, and it's very smooth. The changes, I'll go over that later. Now the paint finish here, very good. This matte paint, nice quality, and you can see that the welds, most of them aren't visible, and cables are routed internally with most of the bike here. So plastic lightweight pedals. We do have a torque sensor, which is very good, and the mudguards also are included with the bike. TechTablets at the front, so no quick release, which is good, so no one can easily go off and just steal your front wheel or anything. And the brakes there are good. You'll see later with my performance test. Now we have a front headlight that has a reflector and 2 focal beams there, 2 very powerful LEDs, and it's really good at lighting up the path ahead of you when you're riding along. I find the performance to be excellent from that front headlight. I'll show you how easy it is to remove that quite slim battery. So we've got the 2 keys here. You simply turn that, and then you press down on the battery itself here to release it. There's a little button right on the side. When you do that, it just slots out the side. Now you can charge it either in the bike or outside of the bike, and it does take around about 4 to 5 hours to fully charge. So this carbon belt drive, it's not a Gates one, but this time around they are using here a JK carbon belt, and it's very good. Now these have a reliability way above what you'll get from a chain. So these are good for 30,000 kilometers, something that a chain cannot match at all. You don't have to worry about oiling them or getting yourself dirty off an oily chain. Not going to happen with a carbon belt drive setup like this. Right along the top here, this is the GPS and our modem right here that connects up with the application. And as a result, that having the bike plugged in, eventually the battery does drop down a little bit because it is transmitting where it is located with that modem and using the GPS. The brake levers, they feel good because they are hydraulic, and we have our controls right here. So up and down the pedal assist levels. Now there are 3 of those. You've got an eco mode 2 and a sport, and each of those you get the 3 different modes. Buttons feel good. This is the on and off. Pressing and holding here will then put on and turn on that front headlight, and holding down here is to go into the walk mode when the bike is of course powered on. Now they have lock grips, so they're not spinning around, and you're seeing a synthetic style leather here, which is comfortable. On the right we have the little switch here for the indicator, left and right, and a bell is included if you wanted to put that on. Well, you can. The display is very clear. It's 3.5 inches. It displays our speed, pedal assist levels, trip, odometer, and even your GPS signal, and the modem too if that is connected, and the battery gauge at the top. Like right now in direct sunlight with my camera, it's a little hard to see that screen, but it is very clear. Onto my ride test now. So what is the Ado A30 Ultra like to ride? It's a very smooth, comfortable bike, and I've got no rattles from it at all. And I do like those Chaoyang tires. Now these tires are 700 centimeters by 40 centimeters, and the tread pattern, you can see it's got a lot of tread on there, offers a lot of grip. But even so, it still is very smooth on the roads I've found. So it's a commute bike, obviously, this style of it. There's no suspension or anything like that, so I won't be taking it off-road because it's not going to suit. And when you start to pedal, the torque sensor feels the effort you put in and it gives you that straightaway in return. And I've got it on 0 pedal assist at the moment. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 modes. You have Eco and then Sport. So in total, if you factor in the 2 different modes, we really have 6 modes there. So the motor, very quiet from Bafang. Now the gear changes I have discovered are at 11 to around about 12 kilometers, you go from first to second, and then about 22, 23 kilometers, you change into the final 3rd gear, and it's very smooth, that transition. When you stop pedaling, and depending on your speed, it will go back into a lower gear. That's a system that does work, but I would still like to have some manual control over this, especially in climbs, which I'll be doing shortly, the climb test. Would like to be able to just lock it in there. So you don't hear that motor. It really is so quiet, and this ride very smooth and easy to get up to 25 kilometers per hour with the pedal assist. Once you go over 25, it's all your own pedal power then, which I will test out now. On the road now, pedaling up to the 25, you can kind of feel the motor cut out, but not really. And now I'm in the highest possible gear and pedaling along on the flat now with the castle of Denia there in the background. I'm doing now 30 kilometers per hour, and I'm putting in not really that much effort. It's quite easy to maintain these higher speeds. So the gearing of this Bafang motor, I think, is excellent. It is really good for getting around town and quickly. And this is where our Ado A30 Ultra is absolutely wonderful, perfect. Just cruising along on these bike lanes that we do have about the city here in Denia. So from getting to A to B for those commutes, this is where this bike, I feel, is at home. So when you're starting out from a giveaway or a stop sign, you're in the lowest gear, so getting away is quite quick. There is no throttle with this bike. The torque sensor, again, working really well. So just how well does the Ado A30 Ultra climb? Well, surprisingly well, considering we've got 3 speeds, the 250 watt Bafang motor. Now, as long as I don't travel too fast where it changes into the 2nd gear, this 20-degree climb is very easy. I'm in pedal assist level 3. I am in the sport mode, but it's handling it well. Now, as soon as I start to pedal a bit more, it's going to change about 11, 12 kilometers. You feel the change, and there we go. But even so, surprisingly good. In fact, this is climbing way better than I imagined it would with the carbon belt drive and just the 3-speed system. Braking performance from the Tektro 160mm hydraulic disc brakes is very good. So from 30 kilometers, I will do an emergency brake from this white post. So 1, 2, 3. Whoa. All right, the tires, especially on the rear, I lost grip and traction quite quickly, but I stopped just before that post. That means it puts it in about an average braking performance with this emergency test. I'm running quite a high tire pressure. That probably did not help and locking up the rear, but I do find the brakes to be excellent. They've got plenty of grip to them. They didn't really need to be bedded in like some of the cheaper brand brake pads do in the brake brands, but no, these Tektro brakes are excellent. Now let's talk a little bit about the range of the bike. Ado's claim is it can get up to 100 kilometers, and in the eco mode, pedal assist level 1, I can definitely see that being possible because I've been using the sport mode and normally pedal assist level 2 for me. And when you do ride over 30 or over 25 kilometers per hour, sorry, I normally ride about 30, 31 kilometers, you're not actually using that battery at all, and it's geared so well. So my range is looking to be around about 70 kilometers out of it, which is a little short, but I can see it definitely being possible to get even more if you use the eco mode from the bike. So the brakes from Tektro, they do work well, although I did lock up the rear in that brake test a little bit, but that was more my fault. And the Chaoyang tires, they do have a lot of grip, and they're hippo skin ones, so they are puncture resistant, as I pointed out when we looked at those tires. I do find them to be good for 700 centimeter diameter tires here. The bike rides really well. It's very smooth, those changes, and that's one of the best parts of it, I think, is just how smooth it is, how much power you get, and it's excellent in those climbs, which isn't typical normally for the carbon belt drive systems that just have the rear hub motor, the single speed. Often their climbing performance is downright terrible, but it's not the case here with the A30 Ultra. I think the Ado's got an excellent bike if you're after something for city commutes. This is worthwhile checking this model out here. And if you're after more information, check the link in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching.